How you guys doing? Great.
Russell, you're nearly perfect in the fourth quarter this season. You know, you've been good traditionally in the fourth quarters. Any significance to this year's start?
I think that we got great players, guys making plays in the fourth quarter. It's not about me. It's really about those guys showing up, making great plays, us being rock solid, us being poised, us believing that anything great can happen. And that's what we've always been able to do. So, you know, it's fun when you got a lot of great skilled position players. You got a tough offensive line that's making plays and blocking them up right when we need to and making plays. And the tight ends have been great. The running backs have been great. So it's the other guys, and I'm just trying to give them a chance.
The numbers say you take off running more in the fourth quarter. Do you save that for end of game?
No, I just think about us getting first downs, making plays, you know, getting to the right, throwing the ball to the right guy at the right time, you know. And so I think it just shows up, you know. Sometimes it's not intentional necessarily. It's just part of the game.
It sounds like David Moore could be making a return soon. Is there anything unique you feel like he brings to the offense?
Yeah, David is coming back. He's been working his tail off to get back. So he was a big time player for us last year. You know, he really made some key plays when we needed to. You think about Carolina, that play he made, Carolina on 4th down and 6, I believe it was, and what a catch he made there, and some just different things he's been able to do. So and he just brings great enthusiasm too. He really is a guy that we love playing with, and I know I love playing with, and just he brings a lot of juice and energy. So we're excited about that. We're excited about getting him back on the field. I know he's fired up about that, and I think he brings speed. I think he brings the physicality to the game. I think he's got great hands. He's got it's hard to tackle him. He's a guy that's very, very hard to tackle, and he runs all the right routes. So we're looking forward to that.
Drew Brees is a guy you've looked up to for a long time. Pretty disappointing you won't get to see him play this weekend.
Yeah, Drew. He's probably my favorite player to ever play the game. I've watched a lot of film of him. I've studied his game, gotten to know him over the years. We've become close and everything else, and asked him for a lot of advice just about life, about kids and schools and this and that, and just obviously the game too. But our kids get to get together a bunch, and we just get to spend some time together when we can. When we were down in California, we went to the baseball game with all the receivers and tight ends and running backs and stuff like that. And he was at the game, so he came by and we all took a picture with him. So it was just got a lot of respect for him and how he plays the game. We've been together around the Pro Bowls. I remember my first Pro Bowl. That was my first real experience being around him, my rookie year. And going to the Pro Bowl, and it was I think Eli Manning, it was myself, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger was on the other side. I'm trying to remember who else on the other side, but it was pretty cool. And so Peyton Manning was on the other side. I remember that. So to be able to talk to those guys and just gain knowledge and just try to learn as much as I could was a big thing. And just being able to talk to Drew so I think about his legacy, what he's meant to the game. He's helped me. He kind of helped open up a door for me to play as a shorter quarterback. There's been some guys before him too that I know he would acknowledge as well. Guys like Doug Flutie's of the worlds and others, Steve Young's and different players. But I think about Drew and his ability to make great plays, and just when he's in the game, he's a spectacular football player. One of the best to ever step on the field. So. I have a lot of respect for him, like I said, and his family, and obviously going to miss seeing him play, just in general. And but I think this week is really about us making sure that we're prepared to go and ready to roll. They've got a great defense. They have a great team across the board. Teddy Bridgewater has played a lot of football before. Taysom's a great player too, as well, if they play him, and their special teams are great. So they're a complete football team. They got Alvin Kamara, they got Michael Thomas. They got some guys that can make some plays. But it'll be definitely different without Drew Brees out there.
Now, did your relationship start with him from that Pro Bowl game back in the day, the 1 year?
Yeah, that's when we Drew and I got to know each other a little bit, during that whole Pro Bowl, my first year, my rookie year. And so we got to know each other, and then throughout the years we've stayed in touch, and then we get to see each other in the off season some, and all that stuff. So our kids are close and stuff like that, so they get to play together and stuff like that sometimes. So it's cool. So like I said, we've developed a relationship over the years, and he's arguably the best to ever do it.
Malik Turner had a real nice game the other day. What have you kind of seen about him and his evolution over the last year since he's been here?
Yeah, Malik's been awesome. Just his work ethic, his love for the game. You know, he's a guy who's, and when we come in here after practice, you know, he's the guy who's sitting here extra watching extra film. And he's been doing that since he was on practice squad. He was watching his reps. He was watching all that. And most guys, you know, to be honest with you, you know, they go home and watch it. You know, that's fine. But he spends his time. You know, he clocks in and he clocks out late. You know, so I think the thing about him is he loves the game. He takes care of himself, his body, his mind, and he's got tremendous hands. He's got tremendous escapability, as you guys saw the last game. You know, he caught the ball a few times and just really scampered away and made some big plays. So I've been a huge fan of Malik's ever since he's gotten here. You know, and so if you can bet on anybody playing, you know, just great football and just loving the game, it's him. You know, he's just a guy who loves the game.
You guys really had success kind of picking up the tempo, getting the ball out quicker last week, going against this Saints team with 9 sacks already. How important is it to make sure you're...
Yeah, I think you definitely you have to understand what they're trying to do. They have a lot of multiple different packages. They have a lot of different things they do coverage-wise and blitz-wise and everything else. So you got to understand what they're doing. And their defense coordinator is tremendous. They got a lot of great football players across the board on their defense, from the defensive line to the linebackers to the safeties to the corners to everybody. So Cam Jordan, here's their lead guy. Davis is a great player. Lattimore, great player. You know, there's a lot of guys who can play on that side of the football. For us, we just got to be sharp. We got to be clean. We got to understand what we're trying to do. We got to be able to be physical. You know, in our running game, we got to be able to make plays down the field. We got to be able to get the ball out when we can and do all those things. So we got to have a great mixture of things that we do, and we'll make sure we try to do that.
We're already seeing a lot of quarterbacks getting hurt this year already. And most great quarterbacks have had, you know, one serious injury at some point in their lives. You've been able to avoid that despite taking all the sacks that you have. Do you kind of thank your lucky stars that nothing's happened, or do you feel like you're doing something, whether it's in the preparation, that's preventing?
I don't really like talking about injuries and stuff like that, but I think that I think more than anything else, yeah, I definitely do think that you have to do, you know, something to make sure you prolong your career as long as you can. I'm a big believer in prehab, not rehab, but prehab. You know, making sure that you're doing all the things that taking care of your body before anything happens. You know, making sure that you feel great every day, making sure that you feel loose. You know, I have a full-time performance team, you know, West East performance team. So we, you know, have a PT, I have a trainer that comes with me pretty much everywhere I go. You know, and I have a massage person too as well. So I have a movement specialist. So all that stuff, and then I have, you know, Trevor, who's my mental coach too as well. So I'm a big believer in that. You know, invest a lot into that, because really it's my car, it's my engine, it's my, you know, I think I've said this to you guys before. It's like Formula One racing. You know, you want to be able to perform at the highest level every day, every game. You want to be ready to go. So you have to take care of it. And you have to be able to engineer your body and your mind and your spirit to be ready to play a long season, go through the journey, and then a long career on top of it. Where I'm trying to go, and as long as I'm playing, you know, I got to make sure I'm changing the tires and making sure I'm doing everything I can possible that the car's ready to roll. So for me, I think that a lot of it's mental. I think second of all is a lot of it is the actual physical part of making sure that you're getting the extra work. I spend hours and hours, outside of here, besides watching film and all that, I spend hours and hours of just training my body and making sure that I'm able to move better. I'm able to, really recover faster in every way. So I think that's a big critical part of that. And I think the mindset part, the being able to think and be able to process and be competitive every day, coming to work ready to roll is the key component to that.
Someone who wants to play a long time, is that something you've talked with Drew about since he's further on in his career, just maintain a career?
Yeah, I have talked to Drew about that, and several other guys too as well, about just how do you prolong your career, and what have you guys done? You just try to gain nuggets as much as you can. I've talked to different guys, without saying too much. I've talked to Peyton, I've talked to Tom, I've talked to Drew, those kind of guys, and just the guys who played the longest, and played the best, and you try to learn as much as you can, So, they've definitely have given me some good knowledge of just playing the game the right way and how to take care of yourself and all that. And I've also had a great understanding of that along the way, just because I played professional professional baseball and being around a lot of guys and learning and observing and asking questions and just believing in that. But I think that you definitely learn a lot from others too as well. And so the guy who really taught me that was Leon Washington. I've said this to you guys before, but Leon Washington, when I got here my rookie year, we played the Kansas City Chiefs, the third preseason game, got named starter that Monday. That Monday afternoon, I'm in the hot tub, and Leon says, how many massages you get a week? I said, well, in college, I normally got 1, maybe 2 sometimes, depending on what was going on. He said, I'm going to need you to get 3. I said, 3, okay. Why 3? He said, well, and he said, if each massage costs $100, let's just say, it's, so it's $300 a week, right? And I said, yeah. So he said, let's say times that by 10 weeks, how much is that? I said, well, $3,000, okay. So he said, okay, well, if you play 20 weeks, we're going to play 20 weeks. If you play 20 weeks, how much is that? I said, $6,000. He said, okay, cool. So that $6,000 for me, this is Leon talking, that $6,000 for me, Russ, will be, that may turn into $6 million. That $6,000 for you may turn into $60 million. And so from right there, I started really thinking about just the investment of what it would be. You invest in the things you care about. And for me, I love the game of football. I love winning. I love being on the field. I love being available. I love competing with my teammates and doing whatever it takes to play. And so that's a big key component of that.
Is there an art to sliding?
Yeah, I think that knowing how to. Didn't look like I knew how to the other day, but the turf came up on me pretty bad there. I've stolen a lot of bases in my time, slid a lot in football. But that was interesting. But yeah, I think there is. I think you got to know how to. I think you got to get your feet up first, cleats up, butt down, and be ready to tuck. Especially in football, you got to tuck the ball away. So that's a big component of it. And so I think the main thing though is getting your feet up.
Are there other quarterbacks you see that are really good at that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think about it, to be honest with you. I don't watch it enough to really, I don't watch it. But I think Drew actually is pretty good at sliding. He's played some baseball in his lifetime. Most guys who've played baseball at some point have been pretty good sliders. So protecting themselves, understanding how to cover up and all that.
Did you get a chance to see the hit from Bud Dupree? I know you apologized that you looked at the film and what did you think about the hit and him reaching out to you?
Yeah, he got me pretty good there. It's part of the game, I guess. Some things happen. If he wasn't chasing me down, I think we had a touchdown. So yeah, I definitely saw the hit.
Are you surprised? I mean, he said he doesn't think he's getting fined for it. Does that surprise you at all? Or?
I'm not. I don't know about that. I guess. I'm not talking about this and that, but he got me pretty good.
Do you feel like you and Pete Carroll are kindred spirits in a sense of just kind of your competitive nature, your optimism, your overall outlook and approach to football and life?
Yeah, I think it's just it's amazing how God just kind of put things together. I think when I got drafted in 2012, he calls me on April 27th. I get drafted, 75th pick overall, and he tells me, hey, you got a chance, go for it. And I told him, listen, that's the only thing I believe in, And so I think from the get-go, when I first met him, I was at the Senior Bowl. It was the first night of the Senior Bowl practices and all that, and you get a note card. You get a little note card, and it says a little number, which all those numbers are like room numbers that you go to, and you don't know what team it is or anything like that. So you go to that room number. The first team I got was the Seattle Seahawks, and the room was full. John Schneider was in there, Darrell Bevel, Tater was in there, Coach Carroll, a bunch of people were in there, and I remember Coach Carroll just giving me a big hug. You're one of my favorites, and this and that, and I remember leaving that room. I spent about an hour and a half in there, and I remember leaving that room and I just remember walking out and I said, "Man, that's a team I want to play for." And sure enough, you go throughout the process. You meet some other teams, you meet some other people, and everything else. But you guys know the story. But just really, it's kind of been a blessing. I think it's just a blessing in disguise. I love Seattle. I love how Coach Carroll, he's so consistent every day. He brings a lot of energy. He's passionate about the game. He's passionate about his players. He really cares, not just about how we do, but how we are. And I think that's a big thing. I think that's a big thing. And I love how he thinks about the mind. And him and I relate to that. If you guys could hear us on the sideline when the game's on the line, fourth quarters and such, it's we're speaking the same language, and just believing that something great's going to happen and we're going to win it. And
like when you guys are on the sidelines?
Yeah, it depends on the situation, but I think more than anything else is like, hey, we're right where we want to be, and that's a lot of times when I say what he says, whatever, and And so we just really believe in each other. We really believe in this team. We really believe in this franchise. We believe in our fans. We believe in the work, the process, because we put the work in. When you put the work in, you trust it. We've had a lot of obviously comeback wins. A lot of great examples of that. A lot of times where we've come back and maybe it didn't work out, but we believe the next time when we get in it, it's going to work out. And it's been pretty special. And so I think it's been one of a kind, obviously in terms of Coach Carroll and I's relationship, but also this franchise is more than anything else, and how we've been able to play over the past 8 years or so.
If you think about all the personalities you've had here in your time, what about Coach Carroll makes him so effective in relating to each one of you?
Well, I think the biggest thing about relationships, right, is I think to be able to connect with people, and I think ultimately genuinely care about people. I think Coach Carroll genuinely cares about each man that's ever come into the locker room, been on our team, each person who works here too as well. He cares about each player, and I think well, the different personalities, we've definitely had different personalities. But I would say that the thing that we've always had is great competitors. We have always had people that want to win, try to do everything they can, and that's where we all relate. It's hard to have 53 guys who all think the same way, all have that's going to be impossible, right? I mean, pretty much. But we can all believe in the same thing, and that's the best way to win. How do we win? And I think the fight for that, the determination for that, Coach Carroll demonstrates that every day. I think his consistency is the thing that makes him a great coach. I think that makes anybody a great in any relationship as a professional or in life. Do you get consistency every day? And you can be different ways. Nick Saban's one way. He's a phenomenal football coach. Coach Belichick's another way. Phenomenal football coach. Coach Carroll, one of the best to ever do it. And a lot different than those two. But the passion to win is what drives everyone. And so I think what we have here in terms of Coach Carroll has been really special. And we're on a journey this year, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Disley came in with a reputation as a blocker, former defensive lineman. John Schneider said he's the best blocking tight end in the draft. How long did it take you to realize that he was going to be a weapon in the passing game?
Well, we were talking about that the other day on the podcast, Danger Talk, and Disley and I were talking about just, him being from Montana, him playing defensive line, and then him switching over to tight end. And I think it's amazing. It's really a testament to the athleticism that he has. I mean, he can do everything, and he can really catch. His timing is remarkable. How he makes his plays. His catch radius is really special. He's physical. I think that's the defensive lineman in him. I think that's the hard worker in him. A guy from Montana, not much around. He just he works his butt off and just knows how to make it happen. It's not. To be honest with you, it's not easy to make it in this league at all, and it's not easy to make it from a small town and a small a place where not many people. I think he said the other day there's only around 32,000 people in his whole city that he grew up in, something like that, I believe. And so, it's the odds were against him, and I think that the reality is odds against all of us. But I think the reality is with Dis is that. He breaks them. He knows how to, and he works at it. And so he loves the game. He loves people. He takes care of himself. And I think also too is how he's played since coming back. That's no mistaking, because along the way you could see him when he was injured and hobbling around trying to be in drills and just be there and just make sure that he was prepared to go. Was really, really cool to see, just to make sure that, even though I can't play today, I'm going to make sure I get all the mental reps, all the physical reps I can possibly get. So that's been really cool.
Is there a reason you wear 3? One more, guys.
Is there a reason why I wear 3? Yeah, for sure. A few reasons. First of all, 7 and 3 are my 2 favorite numbers. I wore 7 in baseball when I was growing up in high school. I wore 11 in football because it made me look taller. Vertical numbers. But 7 and 3 has always been my favorite numbers. Obviously, you guys know about my faith and just believing in God and all that stuff. So that was a big part of it for me, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. And then I think also too, when I went to NC State, I initially had 11. They changed my number. The coach there changed my number. Said, I don't want you to wear 11. And so they gave me 16. And I was like, okay, well, it's not about the number. And I was like, 16, Joe Montana. I was like, okay, I'll work with that. So then I went to Wisconsin, wore 16 there, got here, and but Chris Durham was actually wearing 16 at the time, and they said I could have the number. I said, no, I don't. You know, he can have it. I don't want to take it from another player. And I said, you know, John, Pete, what numbers do you have? I looked at the list. I asked EK too. Looked at the list. 3 was available. And then, so you know, Joe Montana was also 3 in college, and then one of my favorite scriptures is John 3:16. So that's why. So 3 is a good number, and so that's always kind of been my thought process.
Thanks, Russ.
Thank you guys. Yep, go Hawks.